ये तो आप बेशक स्क्रीन कर।
Is this Fatma?
वही जवेरिया आवाज आ रही है।
हाँ
Assalamualaikum beta. It's Habibul Aziz speaking to you.
जी वालेकुम सलाम अंकल।
Walaikum Assalam warahmatullah.
मैं अभी स्टार्ट करती हूँ।
That's fine.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Riya Arif. I'm from Fast News, and today I'll be interviewing you about communication and generational gaps. So I'm going to be asking you questions. Could you please introduce yourself?
I am Habibul Aziz. I have been serving as an assistant professor in a public sector college for last 20 years. I
Okay.
welcome you to this interview. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. So my first question would be, what is your preferred means of communication, and does that preference ever change? Please state your answer.
As far as preferred means of communication is concerned, actually it depends upon the situation. It usually varies, it differs from situation to situation, but mostly we prefer face-to-face communication because we can better convey our emotions, our feelings, and our hearts, rather, the hearts of our hearts through face-to-face communication. But in official communication, mostly it is email that is preferred.
Okay, yes. Moving on, I would like to ask, where do you learn this preferred method, and what challenges do you face with this method?
We learn face-to-face communication actually through our family system. In Pakistan, we live in a joint family system. So we learn face-to-face communication even in our early childhood through our grandparents. But as far as the challenges are concerned, surely there are certain challenges. Sometimes even we miscue because in face-to-face communication, it is verbal communication as well as non-verbal communication that matters. And sometimes we cannot uh, understand the true non-verbal communication. There are certain problems. We can miscue the postures, we can miscue the gestures of the person whom we are speaking to.
Yes, moving on to question number three, I would like to ask, would you say that there exists a gap between older generations and younger generations when it comes to communication? If yes, do these gaps frustrate you by making you feel that like you are unheard?
No doubt there is a communication gap between the youngsters and the senior generation or old generation. Although this is a universal phenomenon that over after every 20 to 30 years, there is some sort of change. But as far as 21st century is concerned, or as far as the last 50 years are concerned, uh, I think the change has been at a supersonic speed. Particularly the old generations, they have moved, they have traveled from radio to AI. So there has been a big way that they have crossed. So as far as your question is concerned, generation gap. Actually, this gap is due to the technological revolution. So, for example, the youngsters, I call them dot-com generation. So this dot-com generation are the youngsters. They uh, have a clear impact of this digital revolution. Their language is more globalized, while the language of the old generation is a bit localized as compared to the youth. Uh, but with the passage of time, things are bridging up. The gap is being bridged.
Yes. How do you keep with changes in communication, and how does it affect the quality of your communication?
As far as the changes in communication are concerned that are so rapid, it depends upon the persons who are coping up with those changes. For example, if uh, you are not afraid of technology, then it is easy for you to manage these changes. As far as I am concerned, I have been switching over from computer to social media, and now it is from social media to AI. So it has been a big problem for me, but I don't think it was a big problem, a serious problem or a serious threat for me. But still, I think so that as far as the generation that was born in 1980s or 1970s, now there is some sort of saturation point for them as far as technology is concerned. So as far as your question is concerned, that how we keep up with these changes. So actually, we try to accommodate these changes with learning various forms of communication.
Yes, moving on. Do you think we can form meaningful relationships with only using social media? And since we can't show emotions over text, do these conversations feel incomplete and dry?
Uh, I remember a quotation somebody said, there will come a time when technology will supersede human interaction. There will come a time when technology will supersede human interaction, and that will be a generation of idiots. So, on a lighter note, uh, that generation of idiots here means you can say absurdity. So, as far as the old generation is concerned, because their communication was confined to, limited to face interaction. But now there are other forms of communication, for example, texting, for example, email, for example, video calls, like that. So this dot-com generation, the youth, they are comfortable with with these digital modes of communication. But as far as the old people are concerned, the senior people are concerned, they feel that this is some sort of absurd or meaningless activity, and they just take it as a dumb show. Uh, as far as your question is concerned, that uh, can meaningful relationships be founded on the basis of social media? My answer, on the initial phase, that's fine. On the initial phase, for example, through texting, through emails, through various social media forums, you can befriend someone. But if you want to turn it into some sort of meaningful relationship, then you have to move to face interaction. Then you have to move to the interaction beyond social media, because as far as social media communication or conversation is concerned, that won't give you the complete picture. You can't understand somebody's emotion, true emotions, and true emotions are better understood when you are in face-to-face interaction. Then you understand their emotions, you understand what exists in their hearts through their tones and through their expressions.
Yes, that was very well explained. But how do you think cultural norms affect our communication? And if we bring those old cultural norms back, will it decrease the generation gap and help us connect to people more?
No doubt, communication is a subfield of each and every culture. So our cultural norms always matter a lot. In Oriental culture, or in Desi terms, we say Mashriki culture. So in Oriental culture, or in the culture of the subcontinent, we respect our elders, and usually our communication, upward communication, is always respectful. But if it is downward communication, if we are speaking to the people who are younger than us, or if we are speaking to the people who are our subordinates, usually we go a bit informal, and then we are not that much formal and respectful. So it depends upon the culture. If, for example, if you are living in Europe, you can even address your boss with his name. You can address your teacher with his or her name. But in Pakistan, if you address your boss with his name, or her name, or if you address your teacher with their name, so you will have to face challenges. So no doubt, our culture matters a lot. For example, uh, but culture is also something that undergoes a change. It is not something static, it is something dynamic. It keeps on changing. For example, if you speak about the culture of 1980s, usually the people used uh, plural person for the elders, even if it was second person. But as far as today's generation is concerned, or you can say the culture of 2020s, you can say the culture, the digital culture. Now I observe the youngsters speaking like tu, tum, and they are very much comfortable with tu and tum. So our culture norms matter a lot.
Nowadays, the newer generation has a harsh way of communication. For example, using swear words more often. Does this make you not want to connect with younger people?
Um, if I think it would be a bit rude and crude to pass this sweeping statement that the communication of the youth has been a bit harsh. I don't think so that uh, their communication is harsh. Yes, there is certain gap. For example, uh, we always use the word khab because the language Urdu that we learned, that was through PTV, and PTV always imparted standard Urdu, so we always learned Khwab. But my children, they always said Sapna. So I was quite frustrated for a long time that why do they just use the word sapna? So sapna does not sound that much creative, and it does not cover, it does not encompass the beauty of that experience, the creativity of that experience. So sometimes when we feel the youngsters that they are speaking something different from us. No doubt we are heard for the time being, but then we simply accommodate ourselves because we have to negotiate with the youngsters actually. And right or wrong exists somewhere in the mid between the youth and the senior generation.
Moving onward, do you think apologizing over text is ever genuine? And can you provide an example where you had to do so?
As far as being apologizing over text is concerned, I think actually our intent matters. The mode of communication does not matter that much. It is the intent that matters. If your intent is fine, So then if you submit your apology in face-to-face communication or on text or on video chat, everything is fine. But mostly, I think so. It depends upon the degree of misunderstanding. If there is some sort of serious misunderstanding and you simply text that person, um, sorry or a big sorry, so it can be good as step one. So on step one, you can text that person. On step two, you can call that person. And in step three, if you think the situation has been softened, then you can go for face-to-face communication.
Okay, so how would you, following your ideal method of communication, resolve this issue? For instance, you lost a long-time friend over a silly misunderstanding, but now your friend is out of town. You can't wait to meet, but the longer wait will ruin your relationship more. Your other choice is to text.
If I have to resolve some sort of issue with a long-term friend who is living remotely. So first, I would send some sort of text or some sort of heartfelt text to break the ice, and then I would request that person that I want to resolve some sort of issue, and then I would video call that guy, and I hope so. It will add to the meaningfulness of our conversation.
Okay, can you provide an example where poor communication has caused misunderstandings or other issues?
It happens so many times in informal communication. So whether it is informal communication or formal communication, wherever we suffer poor communication, if our communication is not strong enough, there are always misunderstandings. So, for example, but these the communication barriers, rather, let's keep in view the communication barriers. Sometimes the communication barriers can be psychological, sometimes the communication barriers can be cultural, sometimes communication barriers can be physiological. So, whatsoever the reasons are, but if we don't get the purpose, we don't get the objective of our communication. So that's poor communication, and no doubt, poor communication always creates troubles.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to take a break? I was told that you would take a break after answering 10 questions. Or would you like to continue?
Uh, I would like to take a break. So we better rejoin this interview session after 15 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you. God bless you.